The air is so bitter, biting at every bit of exposed skin.
Bundled in layers, John trudged towards the village, his breath plumed out, a dragon's whisper in the freezing air.
I don't believe in dragons or curses.
John was a travel blogger, a man of logic. His blog, Myths Debunked, thrived on exposing the truth behind tall tales. This time, his sights were set on the village of Oakhaven and its infamous midnight curse.
I've heard the stories. Every winter solstice at the stroke of midnight, a malevolent entity haunts the village.
He scoffed at the thought. To him it was just another ghost story, crafted to scare tourists and line the pockets of opportunistic locals.
I'll expose this charade. I'll reveal the truth behind the myth. I'm spending solstice night in Oakhaven. I'll prove there's nothing to fear.
The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of blood orange and bruised purple. Shadows stretched, long fingers reaching out from the mountains. Finally, John reached the outskirts of Oakhaven.
The village lives up to its name.
Ancient oak trees, gnarled and skeletal, stood guard at the entrance. Their branches, bare except for clumps of snow, looked like claws grasping at the fading light. John pulled out his camera, his trusty Nikon, and aimed the lens at the village sign.
Oakhaven, it says, and below it, turn back while you can.
John chuckled, a dry, humorless sound.
Turn back? No way, I'm just getting started.
Oakhaven was eerily silent. The houses, made of dark stone, huddled together as if seeking warmth from the biting wind. Smoke curled from a few chimneys, but otherwise the village seemed deserted.
It's quiet, too quiet.
John walked down the centre of the only street, his footsteps echoing unnaturally loud in the stillness. He passed shuttered windows, doors bolted shut. He had expected curiosity, maybe even hostility, from the villagers. Instead, he was met with an unsettling absence.
It's like the village itself is holding its breath, waiting for something.
The silence was broken only by the wind whistling through the trees and the crunch of John's boots on the snow. A prickle ran down the back of his neck, the unnerving sensation of being watched. He turned, scanning the empty street.
Nothing, just my imagination.
He shook his head, attributing his unease to the oppressive atmosphere. He reached the village square, a small open space dominated by a towering oak tree. Its branches, bare and twisted, seemed to reach out like skeletal arms.
That well. It looks ancient, worn smooth by time. Creepy, but just a well.
He had a sudden irrational urge to leave, to turn back before it was too late. He pushed the feeling aside.
I'm not letting spooky trees and an old well scare me. I've got a job to do.
He set up his camera, positioning it to capture the entire square, including the well and the looming oak tree. He checked his watch.
Almost midnight.
The temperature seemed to plummet as midnight approached. The wind picked up, howling like a banshee through the deserted streets.
It's freezing, colder than I expected.
John pulled his coat tighter around himself. His breath frosted in the air, each exhale a tiny cloud of warmth in the freezing night. He could feel his heartbeat in his chest, a steady drum against the silence.
Camera's still rolling, good.
He checked his camera again. The red light blinked, indicating it was recording. He aimed the lens at the ancient oak tree, its branches swaying wildly in the wind. The village square was bathed in an eerie silver light cast by the full moon, which hung heavy in the sky like a watchful eye.
That moon, it's almost too bright.
A shiver ran down his spine. The sensation of being watched intensified. He could almost feel a presence, cold and malevolent, lurking at the edge of his vision.
It's just my nerves. Fear is irrational.
But the logic was flimsy, a thin veil against the growing dread that clawed at the edges of his mind. He glanced at his watch.
Midnight.
He held his breath, waiting for something to happen. The wind howled. The branches of the oak trees swayed, but nothing happened.
Just a story, no curse.
Just as he was about to turn away, convinced of his own skepticism, he heard it. A low growl, guttural and menacing, seemed to emanate from the well.
What the...
He spun around, his heart pounding in his chest. The growl was closer now, accompanied by the scraping of stone against stone.
I've got to capture this.
He raised his camera, his finger hovering over the record button. Squinting, he tried to pierce the shadows that clung to the well.
I can't see anything, but it's getting louder.
He could feel his hand trembling as he hit the record button. The camera screen flickered to life, but it wasn't showing the well.
What is that?
Instead, it displayed a scene he couldn't see with his own eyes. A figure, tall and skeletal, its eyes glowing with an eerie green light, was emerging from the well. Its long, bony fingers, tipped with claws, scraped against the stone.
No way.
The figure turned, its glowing eyes locking onto the camera lens. John felt a wave of terror wash over him. He stumbled back, dropping the camera in the snow.
You may not see me, but you are mine now.
He could hear the creature's growl, closer now, and the sound of its heavy footsteps approaching.
I've got to get out of here.
He turned and ran, his blood turning to ice as the voice echoed in his mind.